Hey everyone, it's Trace Face back again tonight with another video for all of you. I am literally just going to jump right into this today as I encourage all of you to go right ahead and watch this video all the way through, because I would like to know your thoughts. I'd like to know your experience, and I'd like to know if you knew some of the things I'm about to tell you about tonight. All right, and so let's get into this, shall we? For the record, I just want to say thank you to all old supporters and new supporters all around. Thank you for being here and helping me spread this material that we need to spread and we need to talk about. The name of this video tonight is Pornography, the gateway to the rise of worldwide narcissism. We all sit here and we question, what happened? Why are so many people out there narcissists? Why has society collapsed? Why do men hate women and women hate men right now? Why is the divorce rate over 50%? And why is dating the lowest of numbers that we have seen ever in history? People aren't dating. I want you to picture this. It's the early 90s. There is no such thing yet as cell phones or the worldwide internet. Kids are still kids. They're playing creative games that they came up with outside, and they're enjoying being outdoors. And parents don't have to work 3 jobs to make ends meet. A single mother who is a bank teller could afford her own home. Television had what was called censoring, where even the word damn was sounded out on the Channel 11 WB network. There were comedies and sitcoms that were family friendly, playing on television all day. Families attended church every Sunday, and neighborhood parties and get-togethers happened all year round. You grew up in a community where you knew one another, and everyone knew who was decent and everyone knew who was indecent. There was nowhere to hide. They used to have these places called video rental stores. You'd be in there with your family. Families would be in there with their kids, renting the latest comedy with John Candy in it. And here's where the town pigs had to go into that very same store where all the families were, and they had to walk down into the back of the store and go behind the curtain to rent their dirty movies, of which they had to take in their hand and walk up to that counter to buy, to rent. So there was accountability, at least, if you wanted to be a pig. There was an innocence that still existed in the air, a sense of safety. Love was still about love. As a teenager, you'd be so incredibly excited to have your older brother take you and your crush to the mall or to the movies, where you'd hope to God they would reach out and maybe hold your hand. Songs still took you on a journey for a hopeful future, and you dream of getting married and being in love with your partner forever. Sure, there was some indecency. There's been indecency since the beginning of time, but never, never in history do we have the hell in which I'm going to describe to you. A hell that became hell overnight with the invention of the worldwide internet and the beloved personal cell phone. Many of you may or may not realize or know that I work with a lot of teens. I want to give you a little peek into what their world looks like for some of them, for a lot of them. And I'm going to go as far as to say, unfortunately, for most of them. Most of them, if they are not experiencing what I'm about to describe, they're friends with somebody who is. As a female of 14 years old, starting their first year in high school, they are waking up sometimes at 4:30 a.m. or 5 o'clock to get ready for school. They are very concerned with getting their eyelashes on and finding the perfect, tightest half shirt that they can wear to school. Some have such anxiety over going to school and looking their best that they actually miss school because they couldn't find the right outfit for that day. There's so much pressure on them, and they made up a story as to why they couldn't go to school that day. They said to forget it. By 8 years of age, these young girls were listening to Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. Their lyrics are as dirty and deplorable as it can possibly get for the innocence of a child's ears. Yet, you want to go ahead and blame the parents? These kids are listening to this at school and showing one another on school grounds and at sleepovers. It is very important for these young girls to show their bodies and dress in a way that they're showing their bodies. They feel this pressure on them. I know because I talk to them. They're inspired by these outfits that are forced down their throats of these influencers they've been watching since they were born. The Cardi B's and Kim Kardashians of society. Their first sexual experience, some of them, happened when they were 9 years old. They were at their older house who was playing free and easily accessible porn downstairs in the den while the adults were outside on the 4th of July having their beverages and telling their kids to go downstairs and play. We need our adult time. And what these parents don't realize is what these kids were going downstairs to play and do. What they have just seen on the free worldwide internet will forever shape their little brains. And the lyrics to Nicki Minaj will now make a little more sense to an 8-year-old brain that it shouldn't make sense to. They're going to sing these lyrics with laughter and conviction. They will identify with sex being lust and lust being sex, and their entire identity will be about it. They are going to be having sex at age 12, 13, 14 years of age, and they are going to begin to have abortions. Some will already have had multiple abortions by the time they turn 16 years of age. And the parents will ask, well, where did this even take place? Oh, it took place right at the school. The school that will deny that they have empty classrooms that aren't locked. They'll deny that. Yet every teenager knows which rooms are unlocked that they can go in and have sex. And if they're not doing it at the school, they're doing it in the mall bathrooms. Reenacting all the scenarios and images they have been seeing and listening to as music since they were 8 years of age. The scariest part is that they believe this is life. This is normal. This is what every teenager is doing. This is what it's like to live the teenage life. And let's not even get into the drugs and the alcohol that go right along with all of this. Once they've got that door open for lust, it's all connected. But it's beyond lust at this point. This has and will continue to create brains of psychopaths in the making, objectifying human beings and being completely desensitized to what a healthy relationship encompassed by actual love truly looks like. For many of these kids whose parents will not ever even catch what it is going on with their teen, we are in a serious epidemic for the future of this world. The days of innocence, holding hands, and renting movies are so incredibly far behind us. And let's not forget that porn hasn't just affected our youth. It has affected everybody. It's affected people I work with in their 70s and 80s. There is no age bracket for porn addiction and how it affects all of us. It has and it is affecting all of us, whether you realize this fact or not. You may not realize it yet, but this video, I will get you to understand how it has and will forever affect our narcissistic world we are currently living in. You might want to sit down for what I'm about to share with all of you. I'd encourage you to sit down. Pornhub has an estimated 50 million registered users and over 1 billion pornographic videos uploaded for immediate viewing. 90% of children ages 8 to 16 have viewed porn. The largest consumers of pornography are 12 to 17-year-old boys. 70% of men ages 18 to 34 visits pornography throughout each month. 1 in 6 women struggle with porn addiction. 25% of search engine requests are for porn. 50% of pastors look at porn. 10 to 15 billion dollars is spent yearly in the porn industry. That's how much the US government spends on foreign aid. Every second, over 28,000 people view porn. Every minute. $184,500 is spent on porn. Pornography addiction and sex addiction are not even listed as mental health disorders in the DSM-5, the Diagnostic and Standard Manual of Mental Health Disorders. The American Psychiatric Association does not recognize porn addiction as a mental illness either. So, there's no conclusive criteria for diagnosing a person with porn addiction. But I encourage all of you to go to the National Institutes of Health to find more of these studies and findings. Go ahead. Take a look for yourself. Singer-songwriter Billie Eilish described just a few years ago that porn destroyed my brain, she said. And we aren't even talking yet about the correlation and statistics between porn, objectifying a human being, and violence and murder. In Vijayawada, a city in India, in 2021, research in an article published in the Indian Express by Andhra Pradesh writes, child psychology experts were reporting an increased number of aggression and violent behaviors of minors. According to crime statistics in 2020, as many as 220 rape cases were reported in Krishna district, including Vijayawada, where a majority of accused in the cases are minors and have confessed that they have committed crime after watching porn. On the other hand, 12 cases of murder of women were reported in Vijayawada and another 6 were reported in the district. Child psychologists also expressed that minors who frequently watch porn behave aggressively. The teenagers also tend to show abnormal characteristics such as anger, sadism, perversion, sexual coercion, or just sexual gratification. Now let's take it back to 1989. You'll find an article written here by Jerry Kirk describing Ted Bundy. Bundy documented his early exposure to hardcore pornography, saying that the material had a crystallizing effect on his violent tendencies and his eventual acting out of the fantasies he had seen depicted for so long. Bundy referred to hardcore pornography as the fuel for his fantasies. Kirk goes on to say, we could dismiss these conclusions as the 11th hour ramblings of a psychopathic murderer if the evidence supporting them were not so strong. Most Americans were unaware at that time that there was a study done in 1985, just 4 years before he wrote this article. It was a study of 36 other serial murderers done by the FBI. According to the final report in the 1986 Attorney General's Commission on Pornography, 81% of those studied said that their biggest sexual interest was in pornography. That article was written in 1989, guys. Do we even realize how much more graphic, shocking, violent, and much more degrading pornography has become 30 years later after these studies? Oh, and for all of you porn addicts and watchers out there who want to argue with these facts and statistics, you can't. You can't argue with facts and statistics. I also wanted to let you in on something you may not know. As a matter of fact, I don't think you porn viewers know this. But I'm about to tell you. You, by watching it, yes, you are contributing to the worldwide sex trafficking epidemic. That's right. Porn and sex trafficking are undeniably linked. Yep. What you're actually watching on Pornhub has actually non-consensual scenes that you're going to come across when you're watching that crap. Non-consensual scenes where young men and women were forced to do these things. They did not agree to these things, and they didn't have a say in it. The camera was rolling and the acts were just being done to them live in a room. It's already being forced on them. Yep. And you're watching that. And you'll say to me, no, Tracy, I don't watch anything like that. I don't watch anything where somebody was not, had consensual agreement to what was going down. You don't know that. And you don't know which ones. There are so many people that have come forward to talk about this. And some of these recruiters are selling these forced scenes for the particular audience that enjoys watching someone be coerced and uncomfortable. Then we have desensitization. We can't even get the statistics of people who would be honest on this one, who watch so much pornography that they have to increase the disgust of what they're watching. And eventually it turns them into it. They are going on to watching snuff films, but they're getting smart and they're viewing and uploading this material to the dark web so they don't get caught. Oh, and just by me saying that, I have probably given some psychopath some more ideas, right? Because this is how evil works. Starting with your deviant mind and thinking, what else can I do? We live in a very sick society, a very dark world. A lot of you know a bit about my story, and you know that I was triangulated for 2 decades with 3 back-to-back narcissistic partners who were obsessed and addicted to pornography behind my back. It turned them into monsters, into liars, into pedophiles, looking up teenagers on the internet. One of them even slept with a teenager and admitted that to me, that it happened before we even met. It all leads to worse and worse and worse and worse, to the point where they will finally turn over to their dark side fully. They're not even going to try and hide it any longer. They will be dating prostitutes, strippers, Luciferians, people who are a part of the whole dark side. And they're going to try and influence other people to live this way, that this is okay, making excuses for their sick behavior that they had long before you, while they were with you, and that they're engaging in hardcore now more than ever. They'll go around saying things like, oh, it's just because my wife didn't want to have sex, or my wife wasn't good in bed. But what they don't realize is that the smart people who no longer want anything to do with them knew that they're a sick individual. Satan had them all those years ago and has them right where he wants them now. And this is why their behavior has morphed them into a very ugly being. If you've ever noticed, narcissists, especially the ones that are driven by lust, and most of them are, they begin to morph as they are aging into this very ugly, beast-like looking being. Pay attention, their eyes grow more evil and beady. Their foreheads protrude, their temples start to sink in, their smile grows more sinister, and their eyes are completely deadened. And then they go out there and they find others who are equally as sick from all that lust, tired from all of those lies and evil thoughts. If you cannot see the correlation of the invention of acceptance, the invention and the acceptance of free online pornography and the rise of malignant narcissism, then you, my friend, have a serious blockage over your brain from that stuff. It has destroyed the family unit. It has destroyed relationships. It has divided people. It has absolutely destroyed so many partners of the porn addict to the point of suicide. And that study needs to come out because I will guarantee you the numbers are astronomically shocking. It ruins the porn addict's partner's self-esteem and it changes them as well. And if you are going to sit there today and say, oh, I know my partner views porn and it doesn't bother me in the slightest, I have one simple question for you. How has your sex life been? I'll leave it at that. It is about time we all collectively have had enough. It is about time that we all wake up to this indecency. And it is about time that we start to become a part of the solution and not continue to accept the problem. We need to join together to try and ban free online pornography the same way the government wants to be up TikTok's rear end and try to shut that down. Don't you see? They're not worried about any of this that I described because they're part of it. They want you all sick and dumbed down. They like indecency. It puts money in these elites' pockets that run the globe. They're all behind this. Well, if you're still watching and you could get through this, get through to the truth. Remember, there was a time where porn wasn't shoved so far up our noses, forcing us to accept the poison. If we still long for love, true love and intimacy where you just desire to talk to someone for hours and hold hands, and sex becomes a gift that you both give one another and you share together after bonding with one another in a non-sexual way, then be a part of the solution and start talking about it. Start making a fuss about this epidemic. Start looking at Congress to change laws. Start telling your story with what happened to you in regards to pornography. And stop anything that promotes it or promotes any type of indecent behaviors, including these Instagram models showing all their goods. Where does it stop? This is where it all starts. Stop watching influencers and celebrities who started off their career from leaked porn videos, like the Kardashians, getting butt and boob and lip implants and being dumb as a rock, actually dumber than rocks. It's as sad as it possibly gets. Here lies Kim Kardashian. She influenced the masses to wear next to nothing. get butt implants and not be able to have intellectual conversations worth anything. But just keep dreaming, guys. One day your porno may leak too, and your whole entire family can live off of your disgust and your mental capacity as well for a 12-year-old child like me. You too can be a billionaire acting like a clown. I don't know about any of you, but I am so sick of it. And I hope you're right with me. I'm going to leave you with a few scriptures to think about. Matthew 5:28. But I tell you that if you look at another woman and want her, you are already unfaithful in your thoughts. Mark 7:20-23. And then he added, it is what comes from inside that defiles you. For from within, out of a person's heart, comes evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, wickedness, deceit, lustful desires, envy, slander, pride, and foolishness. All these vile things come from within. They are what defile you. Did you see that there? Did you see how it all is together? It all is together. It all comes together. I didn't realize that this entire video I had the microphone shadow on me, but whatever. I got this message out today, and that is the most important thing. And I thank you for those of you that watched the whole video and got through to the very end. We have a problem, and it's time we all come together and face the truth together. I'm Trace Face, and thanks for watching.